Hi, everybody. So, you see, I think I'm having some mic issues. Hey, everybody. I think I'm having some mic issues. I'm not really sure, to be honest. Let me check something really quick, you guys. I'm so sorry. Please bear with me. I just want to make sure that... Okay, so I am live, you guys. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Yecca, where we cover culture, conspiracy, carnivore, and Christ consciousness. And today I am going to be covering the fun topic of eating bugs. And so it's been a topic that's been going on this past week in my life, and people have sent me some stuff and asked me some stuff. So I put together a little bit of info for you guys, and so I can go over this crazy, weird topic that is a part of our lives. And it's actually, it's eating bugs has actually been around for quite a while. But ironically, when I was a younger kid, I definitely was the weirdo who would like when I saw those lollipops in the candy store with the crickets and the worms and stuff like that. I wanted to try them. I wanted to try the worm lollipop, the red color, of course, because red 40 is the best. And even when I was a young adult, I remember buying a couple bags of like crispy crickets that were like seasoned with a couple different flavors. And I remember eating those, and I've just always been really into eating weird stuff. And so back then it really wasn't anything that weird to me. I just liked trying different things, especially different kinds of meats and cuts of meats. And bugs. I wouldn't eat a roach. That's kind of gross to me. I have a bad history with roaches, but but the crickets I did try, and the worm lollipop I did try when I was a little kid. But times are different now. They are trying to force us to eat meat instead. I'm sorry, they're trying to force us to eat bugs instead of meat, which that's where I think the problem lies. It's not that they just want to add bugs to our diet. They want to totally take away our meat and replace it with bugs. um, you'll find articles touting that bug protein is comparable to beef, but did you know that bugs are way more highly susceptible to getting parasites? I've recently had people ask me about parasites, so I do want to talk a little bit about those. Nearly all bugs have at least one parasite that attacks them. Parasites are unavoidable, but you can lessen your chances of getting parasites by reducing your food intake of foods that are more susceptible to parasites. And so some of those foods are bugs, of course, but also pork, raw seafood, and believe it or not, raw fruits and vegetables are more highly susceptible to parasites. And especially if you don't cook the raw, you can just Google search parasites on vegetables, and you'll find lots of like coverage on that. There's lots of instances where lettuce has had all kinds of different diseases and parasites in raw fruits and vegetables. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize as well with the fruits and vegetables, that you can get parasites from fruits and vegetables, and it's not just a meat thing. And I had somebody send me a video the other day of chicken under a microscope, how it has parasites in there. And I'm not saying that chickens don't get parasites, they do. It's just that with cooking it, it does kill it, but with some foods, and cooking it does not kill the parasites. So it's not really always a for sure thing that you're getting rid of the parasites with heat. And so we ideally want our bodies to be able to get rid of the parasites. Parasites are unavoidable. They are a part of this world that we live on, and they really are everywhere. Our pets can be susceptible to parasites, our livestock, we are, fruits, vegetables, and all kinds of animals are susceptible to parasites. And so it is a part of our life. And so I think it's really important to make sure that we are healthy enough to be able to get those parasites out of our bodies on a need by basis. So I do a parasite cleanse once to twice a year. I think it's really important to do that. I know certain people around the world do parasite cleanses regularly as well. And let me tell you, parasite cleanses are not easy. Um, they are really rough, especially if you have never done a parasite cleanse before. It is super, super rough on the body. And if you eat foods like pork and raw seafood regularly, the parasite cleanse is going to be a little bit more rough. And some of the negative side effects from a parasite cleanse while you're doing them are fatigue, lightheadedness, headaches, random itchy rashes on your skin, and random spots that won't go away until a week or two after the cleanses, or once you're done with the cleanse. There's various cleanses out there. The last one I did was called Paragard, and it is full of a bunch of different natural herbs. It's a tincture. The reviews, people were saying that it tasted really gross, but I don't know, it didn't really taste that bad for me. I think I did it for like 2 weeks, and it's full of a bunch of herbs like wormwood, black walnut hull, clove, and all sorts of really bitter, super strong, potent herbs that are proven to help get rid of parasites and worms in the body. I've seen, I won't get too much into the details of parasite cleanses because it's a whole like super rough topic to go over. It's pretty gross. And the images, if you want to research parasite cleanses, just be forewarned that the images you will come across are disgusting. And people have seen stuff come out when they're doing these cleanses. I personally have never experienced that, but I have done several parasite cleanses over the years. When I started to clean up my diet, pork was a food that I just recognized was not really doing really good with my body. I would get night sweats anytime I would eat pork. And also, I would get like a random spot on my body that would just be like really itchy under my skin. And I was even eating like really good high quality pork, but it like pasture raised, all that good stuff from the farmers market. Like I knew the ranchers that raised the pigs and all that stuff. And the um the pork is just, for me, I've never felt as good as I do with beef when I eat pork. And then the past year, maybe 2 years, I have focused on trying to live a more biblical life. So even though God has cleansed all the food on the earth so that we're able to eat it, I was already not having good side effects with pork. So I decided to cut the pork and the shellfish out. And one thing that I will say that I miss are the oysters. I know that they're a superfood, like they are super, super nutrient dense. They're super really good for you, and they're super delicious. I love them. I think they're so good, especially if you get them, really fresh and a good source. But yeah, when I cut those out, the last parasite cleanse I did, since I had cut those highly parasitic foods out, the parasite cleanse was not as rough as it has been in the past. I was just a little bit tired. I had some headaches and a little bit of brain fog, but it wasn't anything like too severe that was really noticeable. And so the parasite cleanses, if you do try it, I recommend doing like a light dose, and also like kind of doing it at a time where you don't have too much going on, so you're able to take the time and rest and relax and recover, because you're going to need it. I remember when I first did my first parasite cleanse, I was just like bedridden. I did not want to do anything. I was so tired. I had headaches. I had itchy spots all over my body, and it was not a fun time. But I promise you that after you do the parasite cleanse, you will feel so much better. Some people lose weight. Some people just have a lot more energy on a regular basis. They don't need to rely on coffee or any kind of caffeine and things like that. I will say, if you do want to do a parasite cleanse, the Paragard one is a pretty good one from my experience, and the ingredients are really clean. But I would recommend to do something to help purge everything out. Supplementing with also activated charcoal towards the last few days of doing that to help bind all those toxins will really help, as well as getting there's two different brands. It's one is Oxy powder and the other one is Mag 0707. And the Mag 07 is cheaper. They're both really great products. They're both the same thing. And it's ozonated magnesium. So what ozonated magnesium does when you take it in your body is that it turns into oxygen. It's not, just because it's ozonated magnesium doesn't mean that it's a magnesium supplement. Okay, so I know it's a little confusing, but when you take the ozonated magnesium, it turns into oxygen into your body, and so it just really gets everything inside your body, and it cleanses it out, and it's very, very gentle. It's not like those herbal cleanse pills, because those can be really rough and actually damaging to your insides. But the ozonated magnesium is a really, really easy and gentle way to make sure you flush all that bad stuff out. And I want to say hey and thank you everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate y'all so much. And thanks for bearing with me as I'm still learning a bunch of stuff on here. It sounded like my song earlier was cutting out. I'm not sure if it was like that for y'all. If it sounded okay, please let me know because it sounded really bad and I was about to just restart this whole thing, but I had already got started and gotten in too deep. So I just went with it and hopefully next time it'll sound better if it sounded really bad this time. So sorry if that song did not sound good. It was supposed to just be a little jingle, but anyways, yeah, so parasite cleanses, highly recommend. That's something that everybody does and looks into at least once a year. Um, especially if you eat pork and raw shellfish, raw seafood, and raw fruits and vegetables and bugs. If you eat bugs, you definitely should be looking into a parasite cleanse. I have someone, Drums for Life, asking if I eat dairy. I do eat dairy. I really try to make sure that my dairy consumption is limited, though. I know that I can gain weight really easily if I eat a lot of dairy, and I can eat a lot of dairy. Like, I love cheese and I love milk and cream cheese and American cheese and all the cheeses and all the dairy stuff. I really do like dairy a lot. But I don't have it in my house that much because I know I could just like eat a bunch of cheese and then I won't eat enough meat for my meals. But I do try to get really high quality dairy, at least organic, like at the worst. Unfortunately, a lot of organic dairy in the grocery store is highly high temperature pasteurized. So like even conventional milk in the store is regular pasteurized, but the organic dairy, for whatever reason, it's not, I'm not really sure why, but the organic dairy is ultra high temperature pasteurized. So it's like super dead and null and void of nutrients. So recently I was going to go to the store to get like some half and half or something like that. But I just really was tired of getting the high temp pasteurized dairy. And so I made the 40-minute drive to the raw milk dairy farm that's out here. The Jersey Barnyard is what it's called. And so I like going out there. They have raw milk. I was going to get raw milk, but I don't like drinking a whole gallon. Like, I live by myself. So I don't like drinking a whole gallon of milk to myself in a week, which is about how long it lasts in my experience. And I don't like freezing the raw milk either because when you defrost it, it gets like these little chunks in it, like the milk proteins and sugars do some sort of chemical reaction in the freezer. So it gets a little like chunky, even though it's totally okay to drink afterwards. And I think you can actually heat it up to remove to melt them back into the milk, but then that defeats the purpose of having raw milk. So I don't really like having a bunch of raw milk. So I was going to get a half gallon, but then I saw they had a whole quart of raw cream, which is super healthy fats. You know, it's way fattier. There's less sugar and carbs in heavy cream. And yes, it was more expensive than the whole gallon of milk, but it works for me. It was a good amount of dairy. I like to make teas, and I don't really drink coffee too often, but when I do, I'll put the cream in my coffee. I really like yerba mate and green tea. Or also, I really like to make protein drinks with my Equip Foods beef protein, which is like the best protein on earth, especially if you don't do well with whey. So I'll put a scoop of that, some water, a little splash of heavy cream, and just blend that up. Sometimes I'll put an egg or an egg yolk in there. And then you can even heat that up to have like a little eggnog. And so the Equip Foods beef protein is super awesome. If you guys want to check them out, you guys can use my promo code Eat Meat Queen. For your first order, you get a discount, and it also helps support me as well. So definitely check out Equip Foods if you're looking at upping your protein game, because that stuff is top notch. But yeah, so back to the good stuff, the bugs. So they want us to eat the bugs, and we will not eat the bugs. So I just want to note that the FDA for many, 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 many years now has allowed small amounts of bugs, mold, hair, and even rodent poop in our food. And that's been going on for a very, very long time. So whether you knew that or not, you have been eating bugs amongst all those other disgusting things in small amounts, and also in our sleep. We do eat bugs in our sleep, so it's not something that it's out of the ordinary. We do consume bugs, and we have been for a very long time. And then also there is a popular natural food coloring called carmine, which, if you look that up, it's red food coloring made from these red beetles, crushed up red beetles. And to be honest, I'm totally okay with carmine. And I have been for quite some time. Once I found out about the artificial coloring and all the bad side effects, especially red 40, if there is one artificial color that I recommend you avoid, I definitely would recommend red 40. It has been linked to hyperactivity, even depression, and like so many negative side effects. And it's been proven now. And like you can even see it in the kids. Like, not only is it just the high amounts of sugar, but the red dye, the red 40 dye specifically, you feed that to a child whose health is not really that compromised quite yet. I don't know. I don't know. Some kids are actually. Some kids eat so bad, and and I was one of those kids too. I ate the artificial coloring, and red was one of my favorite flavors growing up. But nowadays, we know more now. We have more information. Like, we have the documents, we have the data to look at, and you can feed a child food or candy with red dye 40, and you can see them go crazy. Like, you can see their hyperactivity, their lack of awareness, they just go crazy, and they're literally bouncing off the walls. And then unfortunately, you have these parents, talking about like, oh, my kid is so uncontrollable. My kid is just like that. Or, oh, my kid is, they just get like that. I don't know what to do about it. I don't want to punish them for that, and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And honestly, it's as easy as looking at the food that you're giving your child. Food really plays such a big, important role in not only our physical health, but our mental health. And, and gut health is also tied to your mental health. And that's been proven. So definitely look into the foods that you're feeding your kids. If your kids have ADHD, hyperactivity, they have a trouble listening to you, they have trouble paying attention in school. A lot of parents will, like I myself included, I'm not saying that I didn't grow up like this. I grew up eating cereal, sprinkling sugar on top of the cereal, adding a banana, and then having a glass of orange juice with just regular store bought milk. And then I go to school. Maybe I'll have a Pop Tart too. And then we're off to school, and they want us to be focused and pay attention and sit still and be quiet and listen and learn. But how are we going to learn if we are being fed artificial coloring, high amounts of sugar, high amounts of corn syrup, high amounts of artificial ingredients, highly processed foods, and then orange juice, which is, it does have high vitamin C. And like, I'm not saying I don't drink orange juice every now and then. I definitely will have like a small glass every now and then, but I don't drink a full huge glass every single morning like I used to. And the orange juice you get in the store, it's usually not freshly squeezed orange juice. So it's pasteurized, it's processed. They might filter it, they might add tap water to it, they might add lab made minerals to it. They might add citric acid to it, which is a form of mold. And so, it's the food that we think is food in the grocery store is not really what we think it is. And so, I just want you to remember that when you're in the store next time, that, there are hidden ingredients in our foods that don't need to be listed on the ingredients label too, which, those disgusting things I listed earlier, the bugs, mold, hair, all that yummy stuff. It's and that's why I think it's really important to know exactly where your food comes from. And when you know where your food comes from, you're kind of limited on the amounts of food that you can get, especially if you're just going to get your food at the farmer's market. there's only so much food at the farmers market that you can buy. There's only so many different things, and even the processed foods that are at the farmers markets, and then the foods that are in season. Vegetables and fruits aren't, you can't get certain fruits and vegetables all year round, unless you're doing like greenhouse or something like that. But the one foods that are in season is meat, beef, and chicken and seafood. Those are always in season year round. And so, definitely finding a good local rancher where you can source your meat from is a really good thing to do for your health, your mental health, your kids' health, your family's health, everybody's the earth's health. They want us to eat the bugs because they're saying the cow farts are killing us, that they're destroying the planet, and yada, 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 all this bad stuff, that the cows are so bad. But cows actually sequester carbon, if you didn't know, which you probably don't because they don't tell you that, and they tell you like the total opposite. Cows really don't add that much methane gas compared to lots of other things. And there are other produce products that are actually quite more damaging to the earth and animals than having a local rancher that you can get your beef from on a regular basis. And cows need to eat the grass. Like they have to eat the grass. And then there's also monocropping that you need to look into, which is when they harvest all your precious almonds and your soy and your wheat, and your corn. Lots of animals die in that process, which a lot of people don't realize, that when the vegetables and crops are harvested, there's a lot of critters, small critters, that have to die. So technically, there's really no such thing as vegan food. Even like the bugs underground, when they when they harvest these machines, they have that. I mean, these crops, they have these machines that literally like scoop up the crops, and they're scraping, in the dirt, and then there's small rabbits, squirrels, foxes. I know farmers have to go out and shoot foxes to protect their crops on the regular basis. You can ask farmers that if you know any. If they have a lot of land, there's definitely animals that they have to look out for, that to make sure that their crops don't get damaged. And almonds, the production of almonds is actually really quite damaging to bees. You can look into that too. That one's something I recently found out, and I wasn't surprised. But it actually takes more water to grow almonds than it does for beef. And when you come across those studies and articles saying that it takes more water to produce beef, a lot of that water is actually rainwater that they are just counting as like water that you have to source on your own. So a lot of the water that goes to beef production is actually sourced from rain. So don't fall for that trickery, because that is not true. But another thing that you'll see that they tout a lot is that bugs are more nutrient dense than beef, or comparable to beef. And so let me see if I can do a share screen. And let me see here. I have a picture here that's saying, let's see, where is this? So I am going to share this with you as soon as I figure this out. This is my first time, y'all. Hello. I'm still learning. So I don't know if I can share the screen actually. Here we go. This here on Medical News Today, it's showing that cricket and sirloin beef had higher levels of iron, calcium, and magnesium. Importantly, crickets contain the greatest available amount of iron, trumping even beef. Additionally, the group found that the copper, zinc, manganese, magnesium, and calcium in crickets, grasshoppers, and mealworms were more readily available for absorption than the same nutrients in beef. So they're trying to tell you that the nutrients in bugs are better than beef, and it's more absorbable. And now I'm not going to argue that it's not absorbable, because bugs are, I guess they would be under the animal kingdom. So if I don't know if you know this, but animal sources of protein and minerals and vitamins are more absorbable for us compared to vegetables and fruits. Our bodies can absorb the nutrients and minerals from animal food sources better than it can fruits and vegetables, and that's just a fact. Whether you like it or not, it's true. And so I'm not arguing that it's not absorbable in our body. And even though it's showing higher amounts of all those iron and minerals, the problem I have with them pushing bugs is that they're trying to get rid of our access to beef. They're trying to not let us eat meat, beef, chicken, fish, but the main thing is that they're trying to cut our beef consumption down. They're trying to like, what are we going to do with all these cows? What are the cows going to do? They're just going to sit there, like, and then fart more? Like, what? Like, you want to have more cows just producing? Like, we have to eat the cows, right? If they're farting so much, then shouldn't we be eating them so there are not as many cows and there aren't farting as much? I don't know. Like, it's kind of a little weird dilemma there, I think. So the problem I have with eating bugs is that they're trying to cut our beef out. They're trying to not let us have access to beef. And beef has, now we can look at all of these awesome success stories of people that have done carnivore, myself included, as well as many other people all over the world. And doctors, there's people that have gotten off their medications, their antidepressants, their anti-inflammatory, their diabetes medication, and I've helped people do that personally. And so it's now known that beef, especially when consumed in a carnivore strictly diet, can have lots of benefits, can help heal. Meat definitely heals. And so if anyone's coming after beef, I'm definitely going to be pushing back a little bit on that. And I will definitely be coming on here and talking about why beef and meat is so good for you and why everyone should be eating more meat. If you're a regular meat eater and you eat other things along with it, you're probably still not eating enough beef or meat. A lot of people don't realize that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight should be your minimum goal, which is kind of a lot of meat. I know 1 pound of 85-15 ground beef, at least grass fed, I'm not sure about conventional, but 1 pound of 85-15 grass fed ground beef is only 80 grams of protein. So like leaner meats like chicken will have higher amounts of protein. I don't know that how much a pound has off the top of my head, but just 1 pound is 80 grams of protein. So, and I know a lot of people aren't eating 1 pound of beef a day. I know the recommendation is like 4 to 6 ounces of meat per serving, which that's like a snack, and I don't even really eat snacks. But 4 to 6 ounces of meat per serving is not really that much meat, especially if you don't eat a lot. A lot of people don't eat 3 meals a day also. So definitely recommend looking at I'm not a big tracker, but if you're eating things other than meat with your foods, then I definitely recommend to look at how much meat that you're eating, just to make sure that you're eating enough, because meat, it will heal your gut. It will help you have better mental clarity. It's good for your bones, your joints, your skin, your hair, your nails, your mental health, your digestion, your muscle. It is literally will help you because it has the amino acids, which are the building blocks of our body. So make sure you guys are eating enough beef. Oh yeah, so someone in the dot connector says that cholesterol is even more restorative than protein, which is so true. Cholesterol, our bodies are literally like every I don't not every maybe every, I don't remember if it was every or most of the building blocks of our body are made of cholesterol. They have cholesterol in them. Our body naturally makes cholesterol. Our brains are literally made of cholesterol. I One of my, like, I don't really diss people a lot, but one of my disses that I don't think a lot of people understand, sometimes I'll be like, oh, your lack of cholesterol is showing. And that's like, that's how I smack talk people, but then they don't understand it because they don't have the cholesterol in their brain to understand that they're lacking cholesterol, and that's why they don't understand things. And so cholesterol is a really important part of our body and our health. And so it's unfortunate that doctors aren't really informed on this situation, because cholesterol is very much attacked. And and then there's good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, but there's actually a lot more factors that you need to look into, not just the cholesterol numbers. And Dr. Ken Berry actually covers this really, really well. And I learned a lot from him that I'm not, my memory's not that, maybe I need more cholesterol, because I don't remember everything that he says. He's very well more versed than I am. And so definitely, if you guys are familiar with Dr. Ken Berry, Berry, definitely check out Dr. Ken Berry. He has so much good information on cholesterol and all things meat, and how to heal certain things even as well, which is very rare for doctors, because doctors are just very good. They're just taught how to treat you. They're not taught how to heal you, and they're very good at putting on band-aids and not getting to the root source of the issue. And so meat connector, I'm sorry, dot connector is making some really good points on here, saying meat doesn't contain anti-nutrients like plants do. It repairs the body, mind, and humans cannot break down cellulose like ruminant animals or ferment toxins away. Yeah, good point. So the cows they have 4 stomachs to break down the grass. So what makes you think that our one stomach is capable of breaking down on all these things in fruits and vegetables, where it's a lot easier on our body to get our nutrients and minerals from beef or animal products than it is from plants. And that's really awesome. Dot Connector said that his or hers autoimmune disease is nearly gone after being on carnivore. I never got any tests done on autoimmune disease, but as time went on and I tried to reintroduce other foods, I really do think I have an autoimmune disease. And that's why I'm not able to really eat things like almonds, chocolate, and spinach. The oxalates in those literally cause my body pain and suffering. And sometimes I'll deal with the pain and suffering for the chocolate. But the almonds and spinach were a little easier to cut out. I love spinach. Like, don't get me wrong. I do like the taste of spinach. I like a good cream spinach every now and then. But when I started correlating the oxalate damage that it was causing me, it made it really, really easy to cut those out. So if you have autoimmune disease, definitely look into a carnivore lifestyle. When a lot of people want to do a little loop around or loophole and see what all they can get away with, and they don't want to just dive straight into carnivore. And I get it, like, carnivore is extreme, but if you're having extreme health issues, if you're having trouble getting up in the morning, if you go do an intense workout and then you have to lay on the couch the next several days because it was just so exhausting on your body, if you regularly have brain fog, if you regularly have joint pain that makes it really hard to pick things up or to go on long walks or just do simple, basic physical activity, then you really need to look into carnivore and doing that extreme diet, because you are living in a lot of pain and suffering that you don't need to be living with. You are struggling in so many ways that you don't have to be struggling all those kinds of ways. It's not normal to struggle to walk if you are a 20 to 50-year-old person, maybe honestly older than 50, but going for a walk, or being able to bend over and pick stuff up, which that I used to struggle with that. I used to have such debilitating joint pain when I was in my mid 20s that I would go down, and I've worked in kitchens, so picking stuff up is a regular part of working in a kitchen. And so I would go to bend down to pick something up, and I would literally be stuck on the ground for a whole minute until the inflammation went away. And then sometimes my left hip would lock. I would just like bend over a little bit and it would lock. And then I would just have to stay bent over like an old lady because the pain was so excruciatingly bad that I just had to wait there until the inflammation went down. And that's not normal. That's not normal for you to live with brain fog, joint pain, that literally debilitates you from just living a normal life. And and being so exhausted to the point where you don't want to go out anywhere, or if you're struggling mentally with depression or just brain fog and things like that, then you need to do something extreme to fix that, because that is an extreme way of living on its own, struggling with all that pain and suffering on a daily basis. Like, we should have more control over our bodies. These are the bodies that God gave us, and we have to take care of them. We have to take care of our temple, and if you're feeding your body foods that you think are healthy and you're still struggling, then I really recommend looking into trying carnivore out for 30 days, because it's a really good reset, one, and you're able to slowly introduce foods and see what specific food is causing you problems. I remember when I found out that chocolate was causing me problems, because before I did carnivore, I was really adamant about not eating sugars that much. I was still eating like honey and coconut sugar and stevia, but the chocolate I would get, it was back then, it was hard to find chocolate sweetened with those types of sugars. So I would just get the 100% chocolate. And I was literally eating just 100% like super bitter chocolate. And I remember I did carnivore in my first month. I fell off a few times, but I had been strict carnivore for a few weeks. And I literally ate 3 little plain 100% chocolate chips. And it caused me bloat, and I could like almost immediately feel it in my stomach. And then later on, I tried it again, but in a larger amount, and my joint pain came back. And so that's when I was like, no, can't do that. I mean, but I still do it every now and then. Like I said, I'll just suffer through the pain. Um, and when I did carnivore, that was back in 2017. I did carnivore pretty strictly. I was allowing spices and like sugar-free sauces and things like that. Sometimes I do like pepper and onions if I went out to eat and was going a little crazy. And then I would try other foods every now and then to see what kind of side effects they'd give me. But I fell off of carnivore in 2020 for about 2 years, and I gained back so much weight. I started to have new health issues. I got dandruff. Some of my joint pain started to come back. I had inflammation. I got dark circles under my eyes again, and I also ran into depression as well. And that's not my first time running into depression. And when I fell off of carnivore this last time, I was eating a gluten-free diet. That's pretty much all. I started eating seed oils again. I know, so bad. Seed oils are horrible. And then I would allow cane sugar every now and then, which I really wish I didn't do that, because diabetes runs on both sides of my family. So I have to be very, very, very careful with the sugar intake. And so I was able to get back on about 95% carnivore earlier this year. I have lost almost 30 pounds since getting back on carnivore. I Most days I do eat strict 100% carnivore, just meat, salt, maybe pepper. Sometimes not even pepper, it's just meat and salt. But I've definitely been seeing a lot of the joint pain go away, the fat reduction and the muscle gain. And I had stopped going to the gym too. And I started, well, when I did carnivore, I never went to the gym. Like, I was not a gym person. And so I eventually got healthy enough to be able to go to the gym during carnivore. But then when I fell off of carnivore, I stopped going to the gym again. And I just recently started getting back into the gym, and I love it. And I always do this. I never take a before picture because I just hate the way that I look. And I really wish that I took a before picture, because my body composition just started changing so much just after a few weeks. But I will say one thing that I did do differently this go around when I started going to the gym, because I love lifting weights. That's what I like to do at the gym. I'm not a cardio kind of girl. The most cardio I'll do is going on the steps for 5 to 10 minutes. If I'm going to do cardio, I prefer going on a hike, in the mountains, or, one of these local Texas state parks. But one thing I did do differently this go around when I started weightlifting was taking creatine. And the research done on creatine, it's proven it helps with so much. And I had always suffered with like sore muscles the next day, but not anymore. Like it's kind of weird. I feel like I didn't work out hard enough because my muscles aren't sore, but I know I can attest it's to taking the creatine. And I also found a really, really awesome pre-workout. It's also by Equip Foods. So it is, I think it's called Pre-WOD. They only have one flavor. I don't make the full cup. I'll do half to a full scoop because it is very strong and I don't take caffeine regularly. So I'll do half a scoop to a full scoop in like 2 to 3 ounces of water, and I'll just take it like a quick little drink, and I'll add my creatine in there. It already has creatine, but I add more creatine. And so creatine is definitely, it is in meat, but if you specifically like to work out and do weightlifting, I highly recommend doing adding creatine to your supplement stack, because it will, like, you will just see so many benefits when you take creatine on top of eating lots of beef. So back to the bugs, Z bugs. I want to note, my sister shared this with me. She showed me that Tyson, which I am not a fan of Tyson anyways, they basically own all the chicken that you see in the grocery store. I don't even know. Maybe they own the organic chicken too. I don't really know. That's something I should look into, actually, because that's a good question. So, so Tyson is partnering with the company Protix. They are basically some sort of bug company. They're using from what I was reading, they're using the waste from bugs. And let's see if I can do a screen share here so you guys can see. This article here. Tyson Foods announces partnership with Protix for more sustainable protein production. And they're saying here that they're using it mostly for, and this is on the Tyson Foods website. Let me see where I saw this. So they are trying, here we go. They're trying to upcycle food manufacturing byproducts into high quality insect proteins and lipids, which will primarily be used in the pet food, aquaculture, and livestock industries. So they're trying to ease the bugs in, and they're trying to make it look like, oh, it's not for human consumption. It's for the livestock. It's for the pets. It's not for you. Don't worry about that. You can trust us. We're Tyson. We're big food. You can trust us, right? Just believe us. We're not going to feed it to you. We're not even thinking about that. Don't even worry. It's for the bug. It's for the livestock. It's for your pets. And so they're trying to ease the bugs in by feeding them to livestock and pets. But you know who's after that, right? They're definitely just trying to wiggle their way in, wiggle that worm into your belly. And I made a video maybe like over a year ago on my Instagram, showing some cat and dog food that I found at the pet store. I always pretty much buy the same stuff for my pets, but sometimes I like to look around to see if there's any new products and look at the ingredients of things and things like that. And so I came across this. I don't remember if it was cat or dog food, but it was featuring crickets as the main source of protein. And I thought it was crazy that they're just like openly, here you go. We're going to start out with the pets. And my cats are pretty carnivorous, and they don't even eat the crickets. They just kill them and play with them and chase them. And then they just leave them there for dead. And my cats are big meat eaters. They love beef, they love chicken, they eat salmon and sardines. Like they eat all that stuff. They even like dairy. One of my cats in particular loves goat milk, and they eat meat. They're pretty much strict carnivores, and they don't even eat the crickets. So that says a lot. If my cats aren't even eating the crickets, um, how do you think that's okay? Like, I know some, maybe some cats, I don't know if you guys have cats that you know, or dogs that you know that eat crickets, let me know in the comments. Um, but yeah, I thought that was crazy. And and they just like put it out in the open. It's on the front of the package and all that stuff, like no hesitation. And I just was like taking pictures. I was like, this is crazy. Like, why are you this is not okay. I mean, don't be feeding our pets bugs. Like, they don't need to be eating bugs. Like, we have access to meat. We have local ranchers raising beef. In fact, local ranchers are struggling to get the food on your plate. I highly recommend going to look for a local rancher. I think app.barn2door.com, the number 2, is a good website to find a local rancher. And it's just support your local rancher. Go to a farmer's market. If you don't like the beef at that farmer's market, go to another farmer's market. Sometimes I'll drive to a faraway farmer's market just because, like, I don't really like the farmer's market here in my town. And so I'll drive an hour to another farmer's market, or I'll go on these websites and look for local ranchers and farmers, and I'll just email them like, hey, what do you got? What are your prices? I'm shopping around and I'm looking for uh reasonably priced beef. And yeah, it's going to take some time, but I promise you, once you build a relationship with a local rancher, you will not want to get your beef anywhere else, because it just feels good to support local rancher, and it feels good to support regenerative agriculture, and it feels even more good when you get to go visit the ranch and you get to meet the family that raises the cattle, that raises your food, and you go and see all these happy cows living on this beautiful field, and they're living such a happy life, and you know that they're not under any stress. And maybe you'll get to feed them some treats or something. But I'm the kind of girl that when I'm driving and I see a field of cows, I just smile and I'm just like, hi cows. And like I'll see a little baby cow and I'll just like giggle at the baby cow because they're so cute. And I'm one of those people. I question people that don't smile when they drive by cows, to be honest, because cows are so cute, and and they feed us and they provide milk and nutrients, and and I always love driving by cows, and that's why I love driving around in Texas. Like, no, we don't really. I mean, we have mountains up in the Panhandle and stuff, but down here in Central Texas, it's just kind of a little hilly. But the cows, I love seeing the cows every time I see them. And I have some by my house and in my neighborhood where I live. I'm a little out in the country. And so, and I always smile every time I see them. They just make me so happy just to see the cows. Like, I love cows. So go look for a local rancher for sure, and definitely try to support them. I promise you, if you buy in bulk, you can probably find somebody, depending on where you live, to be honest, because honestly, in Texas here, we got cows. And so, depending on where you live, you might be able to find a rancher that has comparable prices to the meat in the grocery store, especially if you buy in bulk. So definitely look for a local rancher. And just a reminder that people do eat bugs around the world. And I can tell you that it's not in the richer populations. It is more in the poor populations where they don't have any other option. They don't have a lot of sources of protein other than grains. And so they have to resort to eating meat. I'm sorry, they have to resort to eating bugs. So unfortunately, in the poor populations, they have to resort to eating bugs. And so we have access to meat in America. We can still get meat in the grocery store. And, as long as we keep buying meat and pushing back on this bug agenda, They're, we can't let them take the meat out of our grocery store. And we have to push back by supporting local, and we have to push back by not giving into these bug products that I'm sure we're going to start seeing pop up more and more every day moving forward. And so we can't really be giving into these bugs things, even though, like I said earlier, that I've bought bug stuff, like in my 20s. I bought a bag of little cricket crisps to try them out, just because, not because this was before I was aware of the bug agenda. And so I just like trying weird things. I like trying new things, if it doesn't gross me out too much, which it kind of did. It kind of freaked me out a little bit. And I didn't really like them, to be honest. They were not good. The seasoning on them was good, but the texture was weird. And I definitely wouldn't do it again. And I most definitely wouldn't do it again now, knowing the agenda that they are trying to get us to eat Z-bugs instead of meat. So I just want to let y'all know to not give in to eating the bugs, because they are trying to take away our beef. And, if you are in the carnivore or ketovore space, then you know the importance of beef. But if you don't know the importance of beef, definitely just try including it more into your diet. And I guarantee that you are going to see some results that you might not expect. So, as I said earlier, 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of body weight is the ideal minimum amount of meat that everybody should be eating. And notice that I said meat, not protein, because a lot of the protein from vegetables and from produce is not absorbable. And not only is it not absorbable, there's certain foods that don't have a complete amino acid profile like meat does. So, like, and my mom even taught me this when I was a kid. I remember her telling me, like, oh, you can't get the protein out of rice if you don't eat it with the beans. You have to eat the rice and the beans together to get the protein and the right ratios. And I even knew that when I was eating standard American food. And so eating beans, just because it says it has 10 grams of protein in there, you're not going to really absorb it, because it's not the proper ratios or amounts of the amino acids, which is very key to healing. And, not even to mention the anti-nutrients and all the other bad stuff that can be on produce, but that's for another episode. This one was mostly about eating the bugs, and we're not going to eat the bugs. So I just want everybody to enjoy a nice, delicious steak on this beautiful Sunday. And thank your cows for being able to convert all that delicious grass into delicious beef. Thank you, everybody, so much in the chat. Let me see here. Snowpiercer movie used bugs to feed the people in the last cars. They like to reveal it in movies or TV shows for us. Yes, that's totally true. Like, if you saw it in a movie, it's probably real. As funny as that sounds, we just live in this crazy world where TV and movies do tell us the truth, and certain, they got to mix it up with the lies, though. So that's why it's really good to have discernment and be able to know fact from fiction. And your carnivore fed dog loves to catch flies and eats them. I have seen dogs catch flies too, and my cat catches flies. Also, she kills them, and she does eat the flies, which I think is kind of ironic, because maybe those are even more susceptible to parasites. Flies are so gross to me. I don't like flies. But yeah, definitely don't eat the bugs. Push back on all these bug products that you see. Don't buy your pets bug food. They don't need to eat any more bugs than they're already eaten when they go outside. They need proper nutrition, and they need to eat their meat, and so do you. And before I end this episode, I just want to give a big shout out to my sponsor, Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. They are the sponsor of this show, and if you guys want to support me, please support them by checking out my link, yecca.gold. If you know anything about the value of the dollar or lack thereof, then you know how important it is to have real money, which is gold and silver. Gold and silver is in the Bible. It's always going to have value no matter what happens, when the dollar crashes, when the world ends. Don't get caught without money, and check out Yecca.gold. And I want to say thanks again to everyone tuning in so much on this live stream. I really appreciate you all, and I can't wait to see y'all next time. Have a great day.